Once you've assembled a rough cut in Adobe Photoshop by assembling your clips in a linear fashion, it's a good idea to add music or something else that you want to work with. Let's go ahead and adjust the audio here and get some music in to properly time things out. This is just the beginning of my edit, but you'll get the idea. To start, I went and found some music that I'm able to use legally. There's lots of stock music services available that have royalty-free type licenses where you purchase the song once, or you could take advantage of things like the Creative Commons. Here I went to dig.ccmixter.org and I typed in a search, and I told it to search for things that were free for commercial use. So when I click that, this list becomes a bit more filtered and you see which ones I'm allowed. You can click next to something. Now, if you're only posting this for your own usage and you're not going to use it to promote your business, you're just sharing something with the world, you might be able to take advantage of some of the non-commercial uses. But if you do make your living from photography or video, just be careful about using non-commercial samples. You can read more about Creative Commons on their site. I've already picked a file to download here. Let me just pull that down. And I will reveal that. And what I'm going to do is move that into my library. So let me take that file. I'm going to put that in the same folder as my footage, just keeping all my assets together in one folder. It makes it a lot easier for Photoshop. Back in Photoshop, you see we've got the audio track. And just like we added video in an earlier lesson, I'll click the plus symbol and navigate to the audio file. Here I'm using a track called My Hometown. And it's a great song here. You can see by Rob Walker Poet off of Creative Commons, and I'm going to open that up and add it in. Let's press the play button for a second. I'll turn the sound up on my computer so you can hear this. Well, what you're hearing there is both the sound of the video camera and the music. So let's tweak that a little bit. And what I want to do is turn the sound down. I just click the triangle at the right edge there, and I could adjust the volume for the clip, and even do things like put a fade in if I'd like it to fade up more slowly. And all we're doing here is adjusting the volume of the actual clips in the timeline. There we go. And let's put a little fade on that clip so we have a fade in and a fade out slowly, so the volume is a bit more gentle. Now this next clip here, we'll take a listen to that. Just sounds like a rainy night in Tokyo, so that's fine. A little bit of street noise, we'll pull that down. And you see this is really pretty fast as you make your way through the clips. You can quickly adjust their volume and tell the story that you're looking to tell. Now, I'm pretty sure that all of these will benefit from being just a little bit lower as a starting point. We can go back and refine once we have the music in place. All right, let's scroll down. I'm going to make this a little bigger so we can see things. And turn the music track back on. Well, the music has a slow fade up, so let's trim into that a bit. And we'll make it a little easier to work with. There we go. And now let's give that a shot. That's good. I want a little bit more at the front. I trimmed too much. Just about there. Now I want to get things to time out a bit more, so I'm going to listen to the music, and to make this a bit easier, I'm going to take advantage of using some markers. To do this, I'm going to click the menu here, and one of the things I want to do is enable both timeline shortcut keys. That's going to give me control in the timeline, and I'm going to make sure that I show my comments track. There we go. So now that makes it pretty easy as I'm working. Let's go ahead and play the music track, and when we get to a good beat, I'll add a comment marker. Right about there. And I just added a beat to make it a little bit easier to see where I want to edit to. That's right about there. Note you can drag that to make it easier, and this makes it simple to do things like extend a clip. And you see everything else pushes down. And I'm going to put a marker right about there. And as you're adding those markers, just click the little keyframe icon there. If you keep turning the stopwatch on and off, they'll keep resetting otherwise, but that's pretty easy. It's right there, and that makes it simple to navigate between them. There we go. And as we start to adjust those shots, you'll see everything ripples. I like that about there. Let's ripple that up. And that's one advantage of using these trimming tools. You'll see that everything pulls in nicely. Let me just lower the volume a bit. I like that. We'll pull that in there. I absolutely love that someone's taking a picture with an iPad. For those of you that are into photography, hopefully that's not a habit that you do too much. There we go. Alright, so we're not done yet. We'll have some more shots in there, but we have created an initial edit that I'm pretty happy with as that times out to music. And as you saw, you can go ahead and adjust the individual volumes of clips to get the mix that you want by clicking that triangle button to the right of each clip. Now, that gives us a pretty good job here. We've got the initial sound, we've got the clips in an order. What we're going to do in our next lesson is take a look at adding transitions and titles. This is Rich Harrington, and I want to show you how to assemble your video inside of Adobe Photoshop. Now, I've already created a new document, and we covered this on an earlier movie that you're free to check out. Essentially, we went under the New menu, and we chose from the Film and Video preset and the correct setting to match the timeline. And that matched my footage. I created my video timeline and set its frame rate to match my footage, which in this case is 2398. Now, I know I went through that really quickly. You're free to check out that other video over at PhotoFocus in our Video for Photographers Learning Center. But let's jump right in. I want to assemble the shots. When I'm ready to add clips to my timeline, all I need to do is click the plus button to navigate to them. Now, I've already organized all of my shots into a single folder to make this a bit easier. Remember, you can use tools like Adobe Bridge to quickly batch rename and get things organized. Otherwise, you can navigate to the individual files, but I find this method much faster to just put everything I want into one folder and even name them with a sequential number when I have a rough idea on the order that I want. I'll click Open, and those files will all come in to Adobe Photoshop, like so. Now at this point, I only need to get rid of layer 0, which is that first shot in the timeline. It's not necessary, so I could throw that away, and you see that everything else ripples. And as I'm looking at my shots here, it's pretty simple. Let me just turn down my computer volume for a second, and I'm going to press play. You see the video plays in real time. Now, obviously these shots can be edited, there's parts to take out, but as I drag through, I can get an idea of what sort of stuff I have to work with. And if I decide I want to change a shot, that's pretty easy as well. Let's go ahead and just get the shots in the right order. And we'll make a few edits here. All right, let's start up here at the beginning. And one of the first things I think I want to do is shorten this shot up a little bit to just the critical action. So they're walking in. That feels pretty good. Let's go ahead and trim that by pulling back and you see the shot's duration is adjusted. In fact, it will snap right to the playhead, and everything else ripples. Dragging through this next shot, I get an idea of what's there, and I think I'd like to start a little farther in, right before the train comes in. So there's the train coming around the corner, and let's select that clip, and I'll use the scissors here to create an actual edit. You see it splits the segment. Now it's really simple to just click off and then click on the one piece and press the delete key to do a ripple. And you see it gets rid of the shot. So there it is, the train drives in, and I like that. And I think we're just going to go right to being on the train. So let's pull that up a little bit, and we'll take this here. And you see we've got the shot of riding on the train. Now, the durations here can all be refined once we get to the music portion of this edit, but I'm just cutting this down to an initial edit to keep only the good parts that I want. And that's one of the most important things with video editing, is to learn how to actually delete things. So why don't we just get rid of the rest of that shot? I'll press delete and everything ripples. And you see the edit is actually starting to take shape. There we go, that looks pretty good. Let's get the rack focus. I like that there. And we'll use the scissors to trim away a little bit and get this down to an initial edit. That looks good. And we continue to ripple and delete. Now, you can really use either method, grabbing the handle and pulling from either side to shorten the shot. And as you do that, you see a nice thumbnail preview where you get an idea about the duration you're working with. That makes it pretty easy to get the initial edit, or use the scissors there to perform a trim. Let's do an in-camera wipe there. I like that. And we see the street fair. There's another in-camera wipe, so we'll take that to the other side. And I'm referring to an in-camera wipe, meaning that somebody crossed the frame, and that's going to create a great edit point to go into the next shot. All right, make a few adjustments there with that as we pan across the street to get an energy of the street life. That looks good. I like that right there. And we'll continue to tell the story. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm not sure. These last two shots are pretty similar. So I'm debating getting rid of one of them, or maybe changing the order. People crossing the street here, they're in the street fair, cross the street, more street life. And I'm just going to put this one here at the end and get rid of this one instead, and that gives me what I want. Now, this is not a complete edit, nor is it a master production, but I've put my initial thoughts together, and that's the best way to start to tell a story, is to just experiment with your footage and try sequencing it to tell an initial story. You'll see at this point, everything is properly lined up. I've got my clips in order. They're in a timeline. And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and add some sound and transitions, but we'll cover that on another movie.